In the quiet village of Umudim, everyone knew Papa Ebuka as the humble firewood seller. He was a tall, dark-skinned man with a gentle smile and strong arms that carried heavy loads of wood every day. He wore the same torn brown shirt and faded slippers for many years. His cap, old and dusty, was always tilted to one side. People loved him because he greeted everyone with respect. No one ever imagined that behind his calm eyes and quiet smile, there was a big secret. One even his wife, Mama Ebuka, didn't know. Mama Ebuka was a hard-working woman who sold akara and pap by the roadside. Every morning, before the cock crowed, she would wake up, grind beans with her mortar and pestle, and fry akara by her small stove under a bamboo shed. She was beautiful in a natural way, her skin smooth, her eyes kind, and her hands strong from years of work. She didn't wear makeup or fancy clothes. Her happiness came from her two children, Chisum and Ephany, and the love she shared with her husband. The Ebuka family lived in a small mud house with a leaking roof made of old zinc. During the rainy season, water would drip onto their mat and their cooking pots. The walls were cracked, and the windows had no glass, only wood that creaked when the wind blew. But still, laughter filled their home. At night, Papa Ebuka would tell folk tales, and the children would laugh until they fell asleep. Mama Ebuka always told her children, "One day, God will bless us. But until then, we must be thankful." Every Friday evening, something strange would happen. Papa Ebuka would tell his wife that he had to guard his firewood in the market. He would leave the house with a small bag, wave goodbye, and not return until Sunday night. Mama Ebuka never asked too many questions. She trusted her husband completely. "He is a good man," she often said. "He only wants the best for us." But she sometimes wondered why he came back with new things, a better phone, a fresh wrapper, or a bag of rice. One hot Tuesday afternoon, a black Jeep with tinted windows drove into the village. It was shiny, big, and unlike any car the villagers had seen before. Children ran after it, shouting, "Car with black glass, come and see, oh!" The Jeep stopped near the village square, and a man in a fine suit stepped out. He was tall, wore dark glasses, and looked very rich. He asked the villagers, "Please, where is Mr. Ebuka?" Everyone laughed and pointed to the firewood seller. "You mean that one with the torn shirt?" a man asked. "Yes," the visitor replied. "I must speak with him." Papa Ebuka was sitting under a tree near his firewood when the man in the suit approached. The villagers expected him to ask for firewood, but instead, the man bowed and said, "Sir, there's a problem in Lagos. The company board needs you. The oil business is shaking." Papa Ebuka stood up slowly, looked around and whispered, "Not here. Follow me." He dropped his firewood and walked away. "Ebuka-ke? What company? What oil?" they murmured among themselves. That evening, when Papa Ebuka didn't return home, Mama Ebuka started to worry. She walked to the market, but his firewood was still there, untouched. She asked the other traders if they had seen him, but no one knew where he went. Chisum, her daughter, said, "Mummy, a big car came to the village today. Maybe Papa went with them?" Mama Ebuka frowned. "Why would a big car come for your Papa? He is just a firewood man." She lay awake that night staring at the ceiling, wondering if something was wrong. The next day, something surprising happened. A delivery van came to their small compound. Two men came out carrying heavy bags, one with rice, one with beans, and another full of noodles. They also brought a new gas cooker and 3 crates of soft drinks. "Who sent you?" Mama Ebuka asked, confused. "Your husband, madam," the driver said. "He said to tell you not to worry. More is coming." Mama Ebuka stood still, her heart beating fast. But from where? Later that week, a shiny red bicycle arrived. It had a small card on it that said, "For Chisum, from Papa." The little girl danced with joy, riding it up and down the compound. Mama Ebuka smiled, but her eyes were full of questions. "Who is my husband really?" she whispered. She waited for Sunday, hoping to ask him face to face. When he returned that evening, he acted normal. He greeted her, kissed the children, and asked what she cooked. "Egusi soup," she said, but she didn't eat much that night. Days turned into weeks, and strange things kept happening. A woman from the city visited and dropped an envelope of money. She said, "Your husband helped my family. Please take this as a thank you." Another man came with uniforms for the children and school bags full of books. Ebuka said you should not suffer anymore, he told her. Mama Ebuka began to panic. What if my husband is doing something bad? She thought. What if he's into something dangerous? The Kumbaktrier, one afternoon, while Mama Ebuka was frying akara, two men in suits and dark glasses walked into her compound. "Good afternoon, madam," one of them said politely. "Is this the home of Mr. Ebuka?" She nodded, wiping her oily hands on her wrapper. "Yes. Is anything wrong?" The men smiled. "No, ma. We just came to drop this envelope. Sir said to give it to you in case he doesn't come back early." They handed her a thick brown envelope and left. When she opened it, her hands shook. Inside was a bundle of crisp 1,000 naira notes, more money than she had ever seen in her life. That night, when Papa Ebuka came home, she couldn't hold it anymore. "Ebuka," she said, her voice shaking. "Who are you? What are you doing with this kind of money? Why are people bringing gifts and food to our house? This is not normal." Papa Ebuka looked at her quietly, then picked up his old cap and sat down. "My dear, I promise to explain everything to you. Just give me a little more time. I am not a thief. I have never done anything bad. But this secret I carry is heavy. I didn't want to bring it into our simple life." Mama Ebuka felt confused and scared. Is he working for the government? She wondered. Is he part of a secret group? Her mind was full of worry. She didn't sleep that night. Even though her children snored peacefully beside her, she kept staring at the roof, praying silently. "God, please protect my husband. If he is doing good, bless him. But if he is doing evil, stop him before it is too late." She looked at her husband's face and saw peace there. Maybe he was telling the truth. But still, she wanted answers. A few days later, something happened that shocked the whole village. It was a Saturday morning, and the villagers were preparing for market day when the sky suddenly roared. Children screamed and pointed upward. It was a helicopter, a big white one with red markings. It landed right in the middle of the village football field, blowing dust and palm fronds everywhere. Everyone gathered around, eyes wide, mouths open. "Who are they looking for?" they whispered. "Is it the governor?" From the helicopter, 3 men stepped out, dressed in black suits and carrying briefcases. They moved straight to the direction of Papa Ebuka's house. The villagers followed them like ants chasing sugar. When they reached the house, the men greeted Mama Ebuka with deep bows. "Madam," one of them said, "is your husband home? We were sent by the president. He needs him urgently in Abuja." Mama Ebuka's legs failed her. She sat down hard on the bench. "President?" she gasped. "What does the president want with a firewood seller?" At that moment, Papa Ebuka came out wearing a clean white shirt and black trousers. For the first time in years, his old brown cap was not on his head. He looked like a different man. His posture changed, his voice calm but commanding. The next morning, a silver Prado Jeep drove into her compound. A young woman stepped out, holding a file. "Good morning, madam," she said. "Sir asked me to take you and the children to his estate in Enugu. Everything is ready." Mama Ebuka almost dropped the tray of akara she was holding. "Estate? Enugu?" she asked. "Yes," the woman replied. "It's time for you to see your real home." Chisum and Ifeanyi jumped with joy. "Are we going on a trip?" they shouted. Mama Ebuka packed their things, shaking her head, still in disbelief. The road to Enugu was long but smooth. It was the first time Mama Ebuka had entered a car with air conditioner. The children sang songs as they watched the trees fly past. When they reached the estate gate, Mama Ebuka gasped. It was like a palace. The gate was huge, guarded by security men in uniform. As the car drove in, they passed a long line of tall palm trees, flowers, and clean tiled roads. Then the house appeared, a giant mansion painted cream and gold, with many glass windows and a large balcony. Inside the mansion, everything sparkled. The floor was marble, The walls had paintings, and the furniture was soft and shiny. There were 4 housemaids, 2 chefs, and even a swimming pool at the back. Chisholm shouted, "Mommy, come and see! This place is like heaven!" Ifeanyi ran upstairs laughing. Mama Ebuka stood still, unable to speak. Her husband was a billionaire, and she had no idea all these years. That evening, as the sun went down behind the tall estate fence, Papa Ebuka arrived in a black suit and dark glasses. His walk was calm, like a man who knew exactly who he was. When he stepped into the mansion, the children ran and hugged him, screaming, "Papa, Papa! This house is beautiful!" Mama Ebuka stood in the corner, tears in her eyes. "Ebuka," she said softly, "what is going on? Who are you really?" Papa Ebuka smiled and held her hands. "Sit down, my wife. I have kept this secret too long. Now, you deserve to know everything." He began to speak. "Years ago, before we met, I was a young man who worked with a big oil company in Lagos. I was smart, and they trusted me. They gave me shares in the business. As the company grew, my money grew. But after my father died, I came back to Umudim. That was when I met you, a woman who loved me for who I was, not for money. I decided to hide my riches and live a simple life so I would never lose that love. Every weekend, I traveled to Lagos to manage my company in secret." Mama Ebuka's mouth fell open. "You mean, all those times you said you were watching Firewood, you were running a big oil company?" Papa Ebuka nodded slowly. "Yes, my dear. I wanted a quiet life. Money changes people. I wanted to raise our children in a village where they learn respect, kindness, and hard work. I never wanted them to grow up spoiled or proud." Tears rolled down Mama Ebuka's cheeks. "So all the suffering, the leaking roof, the akara by the road was your choice?" she asked. He nodded again, quietly. "It was not to punish you," Papa Ebuka explained. "It was to protect us. Many rich people don't know peace. They live in fear, but in the village I could laugh, walk freely, and play with my children without guards. I planned to tell you everything later, but I waited too long. I'm sorry." Mama Ebuka held her chest, breathing deeply. "So I am a rich woman now?" she asked, half smiling. Papa Ebuka laughed and opened a file. "You own half of my company, my dear. You are richer than many queens." The next day, everything changed for the Ebuka family. A special teacher was brought to teach Chisholm and Ifeanyi in the mansion. They wore uniforms and had their own laptops. Mama Ebuka was given her own driver, a cook, and a personal assistant. But she still woke up early and went to the kitchen to grind pepper with a mortar. "I may be rich," she said, "but I'm still Mama Ebuka." Her laughter filled the house, just like before, only now it echoed through golden halls. Back in Umudim, the villagers could not believe it. "So, Ebuka was a billionaire all along?" they asked, "and we thought he was just a poor firewood man." Some people were jealous, some were happy, but everyone was shocked. One day, a lorry full of building materials arrived in the village. Cement, bricks, roofing sheets, and wood. It was from Papa Ebuka. He sent workers to repair the old village school and build a health center. "This is my gift to Umudim," he wrote in a letter. A big party was planned in the village square. Chairs, canopies, and loudspeakers were set up. Women cooked jollof rice, fufu, and a goosey soup. Children wore their best clothes. A banner read, "Welcome home, Papa Ebuka, our hero." When he arrived in a convoy of 3 jeeps, the crowd cheered and clapped. Some cried. The village chief gave him a title, Odogwu Numudim, meaning the Great One of Umudim. He was wrapped in a red chief's cloth, handed a staff, and crowned with a feathered red cap. During his speech, Papa Ebuka raised his hands and said, "Thank you, my people. Even though I was rich, I found peace in your midst. You accepted me as one of your own. You taught me that true wealth is not money, but love, family, and community." The crowd shouted, "Isei!" 3 times. He promised to give scholarships to children, build better roads, and provide boreholes for water. The people danced into the night, singing his name and praising his kind heart. Back at the estate, life became brighter. Mama Ebuka started her own food business, a classy restaurant called Mama Akara Delight. It became very popular in Enugu. People traveled from far to eat her crunchy akara and soft pop. But no matter how big the restaurant grew, she never stopped smiling or washing plates with the staff. I started with beans and fire, she told the young workers. Don't be ashamed of small beginnings. Papa Ebuka taught his children about money, kindness, and humility. Never look down on anybody, he would say. Even the man selling plantain could be a king in disguise. Chisum and Ifanyi grew into wise and humble children. They never bragged about their wealth. They shared food with beggars and helped their classmates with homework. Our father is a great man, Chisum would say. But our mother is even greater. She loved him when she thought he had nothing. Years passed. The story of Papa Ebuka spread far and wide. Newspapers wrote about the billionaire who sold firewood. TV stations came to interview him. He told his story with joy and laughter. Money is good, he said, but peace is better. Whenever he was asked why he hid his riches, he smiled and said, "Because I wanted to be loved, not feared." One day, a young boy in the village came to him. "Sir, I want to be like you," he said. "How can I become rich?" Papa Ebuka smiled and replied, "Start small, be honest, work hard, don't lie to get rich. The real wealth is in your character, not your pocket." The boy nodded and walked away, inspired. That boy would later grow up to become the next big business owner in Umudim. On their 20th wedding anniversary, Papa Ebuka threw a surprise party for Mama Ebuka. He invited her old friends, her mother, and even her primary school teacher. The hall was decorated with red and gold. There was music, dancing, and lots of food. At the end, he knelt down and gave her a golden necklace shaped like a bean, a reminder of the akara she once sold. "To the woman who stood by me when I had only firewood," he said, "thank you for loving me." That night, under the stars, Mama Ebuka sat beside her husband on the mansion balcony. She looked at the moon and smiled. "I never dreamed this life," she whispered. "All I prayed for was peace, food, and health, but God gave me more than I asked." Papa Ebuka held her hand. "And I got more than I deserved," he said softly. "You are my biggest treasure." The wind blew gently, and the sound of laughter from their children filled the air. And so, the story of the firewood man, who was really a billionaire, became a lesson to many. Some learned to be humble. Others learned to love without conditions. And children in Umudim told the story again and again, how a quiet man with dusty slippers turned out to be the richest, kindest man they ever knew.
Thank you so much for listening to today's enchanting story. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe for more magical tales that spark your imagination. Every story is a door to a new adventure, and I'm so glad you walked through it with me today. Stay curious, stay kind, and keep dreaming big. Until next time, keep the magic alive in your heart. I'll see you again soon for another wonderful story. Bye for now.